A very good morning to our dear viewers. I extend a very warm and hearty welcome to everyone here. I will ride, I will fly, chase the wind and touch the sky. That's what GETI stands for, my dear viewers. Where a dream begins with a great visionary, Dr. Sunita Gandhi, who believes in the beauty of her dreams, who tugs and pushes and leads us on to the next plateau, steering us ahead towards a new horizon. Myself, Joya Khan, your host for the morning, as ambassador of change, I extend greetings on behalf of the Global Education and Training Institute, a name to reckon with, where excellence, my dear viewers, is a continuous process and not an accident, where the things you do for yourself are gone, but the things you do for others remains your legacy. It's an immense honor to share that Getty is founded and conceptualized by Dr. Sunita Gandhi, a pioneer with a broad vision of disruptive education. Under it, we provide two types of trainings. One, pre-service for the aspiring teachers who wish to be outstanding teachers in future, and the other, in service, where we train teachers who are already in service. On these live forums, we also conduct live talks under the banner Detox, where we invite bureaucrats, policymakers, and entrepreneurs from all around the globe to enlighten us with their varied educational practices carried out all around. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world, said Nelson Mandela. And every child is gifted. They just unwrap their packages at different times. And it takes an empowered teacher or an educator to be supporting them in their educational journey from the cocoon to a butterfly, through their hungry caterpillar stage, only to hear about how they found their wings long after leaving their classrooms for the very last time to fly out as colorful butterflies, experiencing a metamorphosis in education. The dream begins most of the time with a teacher who believes in you, who tugs and pushes and leads you on to the next plateau, sometimes poking you with a sharp stick called truth. So, dear viewers, with this, I extend a very warm welcome to our esteemed speaker this morning, Miss Effie Kyrikakis, who has very graciously consented to enlighten us by her views on the topic Empowered Educators Lead Thriving Students. Ma'am, you're very warmly welcomed on this live forum. A little briefing about ma'am's illustrious career. Whether I'll be able to do justice to it, I doubt. But that's what ma'am is all about. Passionate supporter of empowering teams, a global educator, serial edupreneur, international NLP trainer, and mentor of women educators. She has just completed 35 years. She is a mother of two happily married young men who she helped flourish while juggling studies and career. Now that's something to be applauded. A stress related burnout in the early days of her career while she was running her language and life skills school. In Athens, Greece, she has been her greatest gift because it pushed her to realize the importance of mental health and life skills for women educators. She is also a scientific advisor and trainer at the coaching mentoring sector of the University of the Asian Lifelong Learning Programs and collaborates with educational organizations and companies worldwide to promote life skills and well-being in education. Her mission is to empower and serve, has finally led her to create Neuro Learning Power, an evidence based multidimensional mentoring method that supports teams of women educators to discover together the mindset and the strategies to empower themselves and their students to thrive. The list, ma'am, is endless. So, without much ado, I hand over the show to you for your presentation.
Thank you, Mrs. Khan. Thank you, Joya, for the very
Thank
warm welcome. And I'm really honored and happy to be here with you today to share the vision for disruption in education. And I would say that wherever we want to create a change, as a great Greek philosopher said, start with yourself. So we're here because we want to disrupt, and to disrupt the patterns and the paradigms in education. I suggest that we start looking into ourselves first as educators. So without further ado, as you just said, I would like to invite you to do something disruptive. Excuse me. So, may I ask you to extend your right hand up front, and then extend your left hand up front, and then circle it on the one and the other side of your shoulders, and hug yourselves. Why should we hug ourselves? Because we women, we educators, are amazing in offering other people, offering the children the best we have. And it's true that we deserve every hug in the world. How does this affect us now? It seems that things are difficult for teachers. This is something that comes, these are numbers that come from 2015, which is before pre-pandemic. And what we see is that we are never not stressed. um, Very few teachers, only 3% are rarely stressed. And the rest of the teachers, that's 97%, is either sometimes or often stressed. And this is a survey coming from 30,000 teachers in the United States. I know that you're here today because you're educators or because you love education. And we're uplifted by an idea of a conspiracy to improve education, to disrupt the paradigm, to feel better and to be better, to encourage students to be better, like butterflies, as Mrs. Khan said before. So to do that, let's go into looking at ourselves first, as we said before. And I would like to invite you, now that you're watching the screen, first of all, to take a look at the disruptive overview of what we're going to do today. We're going to discuss about the pattern that we need to disrupt. We're going to discuss leadership in education, and then we're going to look into how we as educators can bloom and why. And before we start, I'd like to incite some thinking. What do you think this number represents in your educational practice? Please write your answer in the chat box. What can 1500 mean in a teacher's educational practice? Is it something connected to their daily life? Is it something connected to what they do in class? Is it something connected to how they feel? You can write whatever you think in the chat box, and I'll give you a second to do that, to think about it. 1500, what can it be in your educational practice as teachers, as educators? Okay. I know that you've had your thinking hat on. You have your thinking hat on. So what actually it means is that an educator takes 1,500 decisions per day, and that's an average. And that's in the 80s. It is a number that came up in a study in the 80s. That means 4 decisions a day. A minute. 4 decisions a minute. 1,500 decisions a day. It's astounding if you think about it. How many decisions we need to make, and we're not talking about the pandemic time when teaching online or teaching hybrid has increased the load of decisions that we need to make. So, how does this decision making, how does all this that we have to do as teachers, as educators, affect us? How does it affect us? Well, here are some numbers, and they show the well-being and stress percentages of teachers worldwide, as found in a study by Herman et al. In 2018, pre-pandemic again. What do you think is the percentage of teachers who feel calm and happy, that who feel that they have well-being in their lives? Is it 30%, 60%, 7%, 3%? What is it? Well, you might have guessed it is, and I can see you, it's 3%. Only 3% of teachers report that they have, sorry, 7%. Only 7% of teachers report that they have well-being. The 30% report that they have low burnout, 60% report that they have medium burnout, and 3% are burnt out already. A lot of them stop teaching. So, what do we need to do? First of all, I would suggest that we look at the percentages of teachers worldwide. It seems that you can see the India on the map. It's about 60% of teachers are women, and worldwide, this is the medium, the average. In the European countries, it's 72%. In the United States, it's 76%. So more than 2/3 of educators worldwide are women. So for today, I will invite you to focus on this specific demographic, to think of us as women educators. What are our needs? How does this stress affect us? And what can we do so that we thrive? Because the idea is disrupt the model of stress and start thriving. Well, we women educators feel as omnipotent, and we are. The question is, what stops us sometimes from being that, and how does this affect us sometimes? First of all, one of the greatest challenges that we face as women educators is what in social psychology we call memes. And memes are Richard Dawkins, the renowned British biologist, create the term meme. Maybe you know it by its fun meaning, but actually in psychology, it means the environmentally conscious ideas and values that we create in our cultures. And we do that through the process of imitation. So when we adapt what our mothers believed and our great grandmothers believed and their grandmothers before them, we adapt specific models of behavior, specific ideas, specific values, and we replicate them in our own way. And this is the meme theory. Now, for women worldwide, the model is the model of the carer, the model of the person who looks after others and more than after themselves. And the model of the person who takes on the caring role for a lot of different roles in their lives, as a mother, as a grandmother, as a carer of parents, as a carer of students, and so on. And not only do we take on all these roles and rarely share, but we also have high demands on ourselves. We demand that we make everything perfect or almost perfect if possible. And then if something doesn't go the way we want it to go, we ruminate. Why didn't it go well? And I should have done better. Has it happened to you? Because it has to be. And not only that, but we also have difficulty accepting help. If someone offers, which they rarely do because they know we're omnipotent, why should an omnipotent person need help? We have difficulty accepting. And when we do whatever we do and we get thanked, usually, not always, or obviously, the answer is, nah, I did nothing. That was nothing. And we remain humble. And humbleness is amazing. But being able to accept that we need help, to accept that we are unique, is very important so that we thrive. Because we don't want to find ourselves being out of order. We don't want to find ourselves in the position that I found myself when I was a very young educator, of about 20, 25 years old, with two young children, a school of my own, a business of my own, and burned out. There were moments in my life, in my teaching life, when I had to leave class, go into the bathroom, cry, and then come back. And I was wondering, why am I doing this to myself? Why am I not happy? I have everything I need. Why should I see this blackness around me? Well, it was time for me to recognize that I also needed someone, something to help me. And that's how we come to leadership. Are you leaders? Please raise your hands if you feel that you're leaders. Well, we're all leaders. We're leaders, first of all, of ourselves. We're leaders of our classes, of our students, maybe of our schools. We're leaders in life. And we have, as women educators, we have multiple leading roles. Where does leadership start? As Jeffrey Immelt says, leadership is the intense journey into yourself, first and foremost. So I would like to invite you, as we did before, to hug yourself and tell yourself how awesome you are. We're not here to change you. We're not here to say what's wrong with you. We're here to remind you how awesome you are. We're here to remind you that you can be the best person you can in your life, first of all. And to do that, I'd like to ask you something. If you're on the airplane and the oxygen masks fall, whose mask would you put on first? The child that's next to you or yours? Whoever has traveled and paid attention to the flight attendant's instructions knows that the mask needs to go on ourselves first. We need to put on our own oxygen mask first before we put on our children's, so that everyone survives. So how can we put on our oxygen masks as women educators? I'd like us to consider an example from the blooming, the thriving plant kingdom, and that's Hechera. Hechera is an amazing plant that grows in gardens all over the world, and it's got some amazing characteristics. Let's see how we can replicate them in our own lives. Before we do that, I'd like to invite you to write in the chat again, what do you think a plant needs to thrive? What would a plant need to thrive? Not only Hechera, but any other plant in the world. And while you're considering this, I'd like to to say a few things about Hechera. What it does is that it finds a way to proliferate so much that it throws away all the weeds, wherever it is. It throws away all the weeds. Also, there are many, many different Hechera plants with different colors, different blooming habits, which are amazing to watch. You can see in the little picture here, in the round picture here, different kinds of Hechera plant. So have you thought what a plant needs to thrive? And we'll see how it's connected to us after. Well, it needs to have clean ground, no weeds. It needs to have deep roots. It needs to be watered regularly, to have access to water, regular access to water, to grow with peers like Hechera, different colors, make things more beautiful, and to thrive in the sunshine. How does this apply to us as women educators? Number one, uproot negative beliefs. We need to get away of our weeds, and the weeds grow inside our heads. We all have negative beliefs that come from our childhood or from things that we have inherited, like the memes we talked about before. We have negative automations that work in our minds and say, you need to make everything perfect, or you're not enough, or look at the other person, look at what she has done or he has done. Why aren't you better? Nah, you can't do this. Others can do this better than you. Have you ever had this kind of beliefs? Well, this is number one, uproot negative beliefs. The second thing we need to do, as you can see in the picture, is grow deep roots. And the roots, in our case, as educators, are roots of knowledge. Roots of knowledge on how our brain works, and knowledge from neuroscience in the last 10 years, a bit more than 10 years. Everything we knew about the brain, 90% of what we knew about the brain has changed. So now we know a lot more of how the science of happiness works in our minds and what we can do to improve our internal well being and mental health. And we'll see later why this is so important. So we need to get the knowledge, we need to get the roots that will help us grow and thrive. The third, like the Hechero plan, is we need water. So we need to be watered regularly. And this is not enough to be done once a month, or maybe once every 2 weeks, or once a week, because we need to get water every single day. And this water for us, for women educators, is the water of self care. We need to grow habits of self care, and these habits need to be done every day, need to be installed um, daily. The moment we realize how important it is to have some moments for ourselves, to do specific things for and with ourselves, things start to change. What else? Like the Hechera plant, it's beautiful to grow with peers. Every other person in the team, growing in teams or thriving in teams, makes a huge difference in an educator's life, specifically a woman educator's life. Peers have different colors, like the Hechero plants. They have different beautiful things to share. Each one of them is uniquely gifted and adds to the power of the team and adds to our power. Sharing with other fellow women educators makes a huge difference in our everyday life. So, being part of a team, a supportive team, is also very important. And of course, last but not least, plants need the sun. And the sun, in our case, is mentoring. Being supported by an expert who knows what it means to be stressed, and an expert who knows what it means to be in the class, to be pressed by yourself, first of all, by the different learning styles of your students, by parents, by administration, and person who knows, has studied, and knows how to support you is very important. So mentoring is part of how we can grow as women educators. Finding a mentor who's willing to support you in in the shape and the frame of a structured mentoring program can make a huge difference in a woman's educator life. So, what is our blooming path? How can we transform from caterpillars to butterflies? How can we bloom from seeds to thriving plants? Our blooming plant path, our blooming path needs to have specific elements, beautiful, important, precious elements. We need to be in touch with our vision. We all became educators for a reason. And the moment, the truth is that while we teach and during the teaching process, a lot of things interfere with our daily life, and we sometimes forget our vision. we need to remember it again. We need to be in touch with it, and then develop resilience in challenges. We live, we've lived in a challenge for 2 years now. COVID has affected our lives as educators, has affected our students' lives, has affected our families' lives, and the way we to this, uh, reacted to this is amazing. We all deserve a huge hug for what we've done all these years, these long 2 years, for the support we've given to our students. So building resilience that will help us stay and fight our way is the way to go, the way to bloom. Also, we need to be rooted. Whatever we do will be even more powerful if it is rooted in the science of evidence. And I'm really happy to share with you the information that I've learned during my research, the ongoing research for my master's degree in applied psychology, that also supports the method that I'm presenting to you today. And what we do know is that as women educators, there is a lot we can do to support ourselves, and it's important to start with me before we go to the we of our students. Also, daily well-being habits like water will keep us healthy and happy. An awesome team, it needs to be part of our blooming team, and this is all part of the neuro learning power method. What is the result of this? Number one, you as a woman educator thrive. And what happens in our daily life when we start being trained in the neuro learning power is that we get over the memes and our negative beliefs about ourselves. We learn to accept help as much as provided. We learn to be cared as much as care. We learn to be vulnerable, to share not only our happiness but also our pains. And we learn to ask for help, to care about ourselves, to recognize the awesomeness that I am, and so that I can recognize it in our students, in my students. And like every blooming plant, what neurolearning power does to us is it teaches to be happy. It teaches us to be happy as women educators, as educators in general. Now, how does this affect our students? It's amazing to know that better teacher well-being. Research shows that better teacher well-being. You can see the sources at the bottom. Harding et al. 2019, Chapter 2019. Again, very recent research. Every single research suggests that better teacher well-being is associated with better student well-being. It is associated with better teacher presentation, the way we present ourselves in the classroom, the way we connect with our students, and the educational results that our students bring. It's amazing, isn't it? How I feel can affect how my students perform. Why is that? Well, the secret is in the brain. We are equipped as amazing human beings. All human beings are equipped with mirror neurons. Mirror neurons is a new discovery of neuroscience. It is in the prefrontal cortex on the brain, in the brain, and what they actually do, these neurons, these cells in our brain here at the front, is that they mirror other people. They mirror not only the body language, but also the feelings and everything that the other person does and is. So when I am with my students, what happens is that I am connected. And connection, as Brené Brown says, is why we're here. It's what gives purpose and meaning to our lives. It's neurobiologically how we're wired with mirror neurons, and it's why we're here. Our students are in the class to connect with you. Connection comes first, before learning, not after. So everything in teaching is connections. When I present myself in the class, I spread happiness or I spread stress. I cannot teach what I am not. I can only teach what I am. So if I am stressed, if I am burnt out, if I am unhappy, this is what I'm going to mirror. And this is not something I can control. It happens unconsciously. On the other hand, if I'm happy, if I'm satisfied, if I'm smiling, really smiling, this also mirrors in my students. And we all know that we've been in classes where it was beautiful to be there. It worked well because we were well. So if we're happy, we boost well being, we connect the teams of our students, we teach empowering beliefs because we say, I'm well, or today I'm not very well. Let's do this together. And the most important thing, we create passionate, self propelled, happy, successful students because happiness comes before performance and not after. And the result spreads. We have harmonious school communities with parents. I've been an educator more than 30 years. And what my career has taught me is exactly that. If I am well, things bloom, thrive around me. Now, there's going to be a little Greek for you here, but it describes the neurolearning power method, which combines cognitive psychology. I'm going to translate it for you. Cognitive psychology, positive psychology, and neuroscience into one model, into one method that focuses like the vision of Getty into happiness and well-being in educators. In education, we're in this together, and it's very important that we find the way to be empowered because one NL Power education, as educator, as we say in NL Power, means 1,000 empowered students, and we want our students to be empowered. We want ourselves to thrive so that our students bloom. I'm sharing this today with you because it means change. It means changing. It means learning new paradigms, disrupting the old paradigm, and learn new paradigms in education. And for that, we need to remember Alvin Toffler, who said that the illiterate of the 21st century will not be the person who cannot read and write, but the person who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. So by learning the way we've been functioning so far, by learning what doesn't work in us and what works in us, we can unlearn the old paradigm and relearn new ways of being happy and new ways of spreading happiness in education. This is a conspiracy. This is a movement, and we deserve it. We deserve to be happy, and our students deserve to be happy. And this is much more important. Teaching them how to be happy comes first before teaching them the letters and their math. I'm very happy that we shared this together. And I would like to invite you to a free introductory webinar to the method of neurolearning power on on Sunday, the 17th of April at 11:30 IST. That's 9 o'clock in Greece. You can book your seat in the link that you can see here, https bit.ly/empoweredu. I'd be very happy to see you. You can book your seat now. There is still time. Now that there is still time, and thank you for sharing the vision with me. You can find me in Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn under the name Effie Kyrikakis, and you can find the method Neurolearning Power in www.neurolearningpower.com. Let's change education together. Let's create happy education together. It's possible and we deserve it. you can't be heard. Miss Khan, your microphone.
Thank you so
Good.
much. Thank you so much, ma'am, for enriching us with your words and expertise. It was truly a pleasure to listen to your most valuable inputs. We cannot deny that the landscape of education is constantly changing, and while disruption challenges our perceptions of normal, our school leaders, educators, and the teaching fraternity is still facing greater challenges than
Mhm.
ever before. Academic thriving is duly being characterized by engaged learning and academic determination. Students who are thriving academically are psychologically engaged in the learning process, I'm sure you'll agree, and not merely engaged in behaviors.
Mhm.
True educators who are empowered, they are truly empowered when there is a shared understanding of learning goals that will help our students to transfer their skills to the real world. And, ma'am, you included very important points. And one of the most important points was quotient of well being and happiness, harmonious school communities, building resilience, and to be able to accept that we are truly unique. I think these points are very, very important in today's stressful scenario. Teachers should not be stressed out. Educators should have a mentally happy state. Mental health is very important, that you so duly emphasized. And after listening to you, I'm sure our viewers must be having some wonderful takeaways with them. But before we bid everybody thank you, I hope you will be able to throw some light upon a few questions, ma'am.
Sure. I'll be happy to.
Thank you so much. So, one of our questions is, first, do you think students also need to be empowered? And if so, why is it important for teachers or educators to empower their students?
Empowerment comes in many forms. And we as educators have always been willing to empower our students academically. And we try to support them in any way we can with providing extra work or providing extra time with them or teaching to their learning skills. And we, as educators, we strive to become better educators so that we can empower our students. So yes, it's obvious that they need to be empowered. The question is how. So academically, we've been doing it for all our years, and we as educators, and you know that, Joya,
Yes.
we always see a child who struggles. We always see children we know can do better, but for some reason something stops them. Isn't it true? So what those kids need is not academic empowerment. They need skills of how to be resilient. They need skills of how to believe in themselves. They need skills of how to be happy in what they are, not to compare with themselves with another child, but to focus, to be self propelled, to be passionate. So, yes, that's what we need to teach them. And we can only teach them that if we are like this. We teach with our example. First of all, with our passion, with being empowered, mirror neurons, we cannot escape. So as long as we are empowered as educators, this reflects in our students.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Absolutely taken. Uh, Another question: what, according to you, are the qualities of empowered educators?
That's a great question. Thank you for asking, Joya. Well, We can start by thinking of what is a non-empowered educator. And a non-empowered educator is a stressed, burned out one. It's a person who started with a vision, and we all start with a vision to change the world, to support. And then at some point, we lose sight of our vision because the everyday struggle gets in the way. So to be empowered means to be optimistic, to believe that the difficulties are there to make us stronger, and to believe that every challenge in our life can give us a gift, like the gift I took from my burnout, which is why I'm here today, which is why I'm sharing this with you. To be empowered means to feel that I have control, not control, control is not the right word, choice. That I have choice is in what I am and what I do. It's not the environment that controls me. It's not the situation that controls me. I have choice in how I respond to things. So the moment that this happens, a lot of other things happens. And also to be empowered means for me that I am able to accept that I am vulnerable and ask for help.
Very well said, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And just one last question. What effect do you think will the empowering of your learners have on their academic careers and success?
Um, you in India have more honors kids than the world has kids. that okay. So there will be a lot of very clever, very well educated students who arrive at a work position, who arrive in the work market. What will make the difference? The way that they carry themselves, the way that they believe in themselves, the way that they connect with other people. And this is not certificates. It's not the paper from school or from university or the degree or the master's degree or the doctoral degree. It's much more than that. It's who they are as people, how empowered they are. This will make the difference between a successful person and a non successful person, a successful student and a non successful student, not academically, but in life. So, being happy, having well being is the most important thing, the power of their life. And that's why it's so important to teach them life skills, happiness, before we teach them anything else.
Thank you so much, ma'am. What I could gauge from all your answers was that a good educator who is empowered isn't someone who gives the answers out to the kids only, but also understands their needs and challenges and gives tools to help them succeed by a very healthy state of mind,
Mhm.
by the quotient of happiness, a harmonious school community, so that they are able to bloom and spread their success stories into the world,
Mhm.
propagating the concept of fun while learning. I
I
hope I have
couldn't
been able
agree
to
more.
sum it up in a few words, but let me acknowledge and accept that no session is enough to sit and deliberate upon important topics like
Mhm.
these. So we look forward to having you with us again sometime, another day, another thought provoking session where we can truly, enlighten ourselves further and progress as enriched and empowered individuals along with being educators. So thank you so much, ma'am. It was an experience to treasure. Thank you, dear viewers, for being with us. And thank you, all those viewers who will eventually be seeing our program and will see the show and will definitely appreciate what Miss Effie has conveyed. Happiness, mental health, well being, harmony, peace, and that's what we actually need today. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you. It was an honor and a pleasure. Thank you,
Thank,
Joya. You are amazing.
thank you so
You
much,
are
ma'am.
an amazing woman and an amazing educator.
Oh, thank you. I'll treasure it. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Have a good day, everybody. Stay
Have a
blessed.
good day.